And his name is Edward Jones, as I mentioned. He's going to talk about recycling. He's an inventor and has very interesting, innovative ideas on how to save our planet. So without further ado, Edward Jones.
Hello, gentlemen. I understand here I have a lively group. I was told that I better be funny or interesting because you guys have eggs in your pocket. And you have been known to egg people. So I'll try to keep it interesting and give you a little background on who I am and what I do. Actually, this computer is not compatible with all of my presentations I want to give, so I'm going to have to wing it. And actually, this presentation is for my K-12 students. I go around talking to Sherlock schools, and I interest the students there with pharmacology, animals, insects, the decomposers that exist in the earth, in the soil, and the little girls love it. They're pushing worm beds there. The little girls are pushing the guys out of the way. Ooh, roly-polies, worms. And also, the young kids are really into recycling, and I'm hoping that I can just keep you guys' attention long enough. Just a little background on me. I'm a retired engineer, software developer for probably companies in the Bay Area. I've been out here 30 years. I worked on EMC, VMware, virtual computers. I was a quality assurance manager, which meant that a product would not hit the public until I blessed it. I had to make sure all of the bugs and hardware and software defects were fixed so that you guys, the public, wouldn't throw it back at us. So my book is entitled The After Meal. The after meal concerns all the stuff that's left at this table when you guys get up and walk away. We are creatures, our diets are part animal waste, vegetable waste, but since we are 70% liquids, most of our diets contain liquid. And ice being one of the premier conditioners of most of the drinks that we consume, tea, water, coffee. We put ice into everything we drink. And ice is a part of the after meal, so I'm going to hold off on that because when I show you this presentation, I have to get back into the after meal, and I want to start talking about ice just yet. So I want to take you through this little slide, and hopefully I can do it quickly to show you what I talked to the students to get a baseline on what the after meal is all about. I have to take this presentation first, then I'm going to get back to the ice and all of that good stuff. Okay, the first slide is a short story of pharmacology and Edward Jones. My name is Edward David Jones. I use Edward Jones to write my book. I'm hoping you guys would mistake me for the real guy. Anyway, Don Dallas is one of my board members. Eric runs Russell Palmer, and a guy named Johnny Russell are my board members. I basically put this presentation together. My company's name is One Man's Trash, Other Man's Treasure. Trash from the United States. We are the food basket of the world. We actually feed the world, so we have a lot of food. We are the best at feeding, farming. So our trash has a value of like the third leading economy in the world. The things we throw away are so valuable. We should be paying more attention to it. Ice and liquid, all of that's in there. I'll get to that in a minute. But www.ontsystem.org, One Man's Trash Systems, we are developing systems to assist in the after meal. I feel that my group master gardeners that make up our organization feel that the next great catastrophe to hit Mother Earth is not going to be from foreign invaders, some bomb or something like that. It's going to be from garbage. We've had comments and all kinds of things come in and change the word way we go, but unless we start handling our garbage efficiently, the things that had happened in the 18th century, the plagues and all that stuff, will come back to haunt us. We must pay attention to the past in order to get through the future. I'm going to step through this right quick to get back to the after the important stuff. But run through this right quick. Plants and their general anatomy, pollinators, insects in the compost pile, worms and their general anatomy. Parts that make up a plant. This is the basis of life. This plant, it gets energy from the sun, takes that CO2 out of our atmosphere and gives us oxygen. Plants need oxygen to live off of. This is basically all the darn parts we want people. There's a lot of farmers out here, so we feel that this is very important to let people know what the plant is, how important it is to us and our lives, to everything that's on the earth. And these are the basic parts: the root system, the hypocotyl, the terminal bud, the leaf blades, the inner lobes, auxiliary buds. All of these make up a plant, and they are very important because what a plant needs is thrive. Okay, these are the basic parts of the flower. We want everybody to know that the flower is the sexual organism plant. This is how plants reproduce. And so we go telling the kids all about this stuff. I know a lot of you guys know about it. Some of you may have forgotten about it, so we're going back to basics and going through it again. And this is explaining the sexual parts of a plant, a flower, and how they entice. Sometimes known as the bloom blossom. It is a reproductive structure found in flowering plants. Biological function of flowers to effect reproduction, usually by providing a mechanism for a union of sperms and egg within the plant life. So I'm not going to go through all of that. You guys know all of that. But these are basics, elements, micro elements and macro elements that plants need to be healthy. The hydrogen, carbon, oxygen, potassium, all of these in certain quantities are what makes our plant life, the basis for life on this earth, healthy. This is what we need to be feeding plants. Of course, we get away from that with a lot of the pesticides and things that we put on plants, but these are the basic elements that give plants healthy, bountiful life. The zinc, copper, and you will see how this is important later on in this presentation. Just a few of the sexual organs of plants that we all know. So now we're going to get into the pollinators and why they are so important. Many insects other than bees accomplish pollinating by visiting flowers, nectar, and pollen, commonly both. So you know what pollinators and stuff do. I'm going to go to the next page. I told I had a limited time, so I'm going to go through here quickly. This is a major pollinator. We have beehives on my farm in Modesto. We are going to start saving bees. We are a rescue center out in Modesto. I live right across the street from the gallows. And we're starting to implement these projects. Since we are a nonprofit, we are going to be looking for projects to implement that are beneficial to Earth and beneficial to us and to life on Earth. So just talking about the pollinators. And these are some of the bees, the bumblebees. These are all the friendly insects that are thriving in our environment that we need to pay attention to, because as soon as they go, there go we. So when we talk to the kids on these insects, they find it very interesting. And these are some of the other pollinators, the hummingbirds. All of these particular creatures help assist us with life. Okay, these are the basic compost processes and critters that we're going to find in the compost pile. The compost pile is very important. It is what we should be doing with a lot of our leftover waste. Because we have the black liner bag, that bag that you put inside of the garbage can, we are defeating Mother Earth. Mother Earth for millions of years has been allowing things to decompose and fall onto the Earth's surface. Where these composers, these things that break that matter down, thrive as a result of what we put in our foods, preservatives, the salts, the savings, the partake, the aspartame, MSG, all of these things that we put into our food to make them palatable for us to digest are not too friendly with these type of creatures. These are the basis of life. These are the things that we need to pay attention to. When you have your garbage bag in your home, these creatures smell all of that stuff. And they're coming in. Hey, there's food in there. It's coming. If you start a compost pile, every one of us started a compost pile in our backyard. Most of us have our backyards covered up. We don't care too much about these guys. These are the bases of life. The ocean has many of these types of things as well, but we want to make sure that these creatures thrive in our environment. So we are asking you guys, the biggest thing that you can do is start a compost pile in your backyard. Give these guys a place to thrive, food, meal. Get a wire, maybe a chicken wire, muscle wire, and stash it in your backyard. Start throwing your excess vegetation, worms, these creatures love your leftovers. And you'll wind up growing worms and you wind up having a soil-rich environment that you can take and start putting on your plants that you want to apply. The result of your composting gives you beneficial soil if you're into growing all the vegetation and all the plants that you want to have inside, stuff like that. So we talk about all of these creatures that comprise the compost pile and their beneficial part in it. They make mold, and their worms eat the mold, and the decomposers eat all of these things. And it's a circular thing that's been happening throughout the world for millions of years, and we would like to see it continue. Look, Lumbriscus terrestris, an earthworm, God's gift to the earth. The earthworm is a creature that has 7 hearts, it has a gizzard, it doesn't have a stomach. It has microbes inside of its skeleton that engulf the things that it digests, and it puts back macro elements back into the soil. The worm castings, the stuff that it puts out of its rear end as it burrows holes throughout the soil, giving oxygen and air to the root system of plants that we earlier talked about. It's one of the most beneficial creatures that God has put on this earth. We need to cherish this animal, this insect, because it is very beneficial. That little sac around its body is an egg sac. Its reproductive system is a hermaphrodite. It exchanges DNA with another worm and carries the eggs on up. And the eggs, they have 2 to 3 eggs in the sac. The eggs take 2 or 3 weeks to mature. The earthworm, after 2 months, it's mature and it starts having more babies. And if you feed this and take care of it, we feed it coffee grinds, cardboard, and all kinds of things. It eats this stuff. It digests this stuff. And it gives us beneficial elements for the soil. This is a diagram of biology of the earthworm, what it does, and its segments. Most people feel that you can cut an earthworm in half and it'll grow back. False, especially if you cut it close to the head. It's a gun. So it might reproduce a tail, but it depends on how far back on that tail you cut it. So these are some of the aspects of the earthworm. They have no eyes, are light sensitive, no ears, sensitive to vibration. They have 5 hearts, no teeth. Have a gizzard which contains small grains of sand and mineral particles. Use muscular contractions to grind food. They breathe through their skin and have no lungs. Their skin must stay moist to allow it to respire or they will die. I have even went as far as to go gold panning in the American River up there in Nevada and got through the rocks and stones at the bottom of the river, and I found the worms down there. I came up with a pan full of worms. There's oxygen in the water. There's nutrient in the water. These worms are thriving in a river. Oh my God.
So they are very dynamic creatures that inhabit the earth. These are the output, the micro elements that the worm puts into the soil. The chlorine, iron, barium, magnesium, zinc, copper, all of these excrements come from the worm. So their castings, the poop that they put out, is a rich source of nutrient for plants. People need to be aware of these creatures, and we need more of them. We need to make an environment that is conducive to these type of creatures to thrive and survive in our environment. They benefit us. They help us. Difference with chemical-free worm castings, shown here, untreated, treated with chemical fertilizers, treated with natural worm castings, you get a larger plant. The benefits of worm castings is that there are insect repellents. They make the seed much stronger. They do not eat live green vegetation. They only go after the humus, after things have decayed to the point of almost turning brown and turning into a humus, is what the worm goes after. The fungi, they love protozoans, all the things in our element, little creatures in our element, the worm thrives on. We need to make our soil more conducive to creatures like this. When our farmers put concentrations of preservative and pesticides on our food, it comes back to haunt us because it destroys the environment for creatures like this. Okay, so that's that presentation.